to welcome everyone and call the December meeting of Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Commission to order. Glad to see everybody here tonight. Ms. Hill, would you open us with a prayer tonight?
I will be glad to. Father, we thank you for this day. I thank you for each one of these people that are gathered here with us. I thank you for all of our first responders. They're so important for the work that they do in our community. And I just pray that you keep them all safe during this holiday season and every day throughout the year. I pray that as we go through the holidays that we find joy in the things that we do and that we can do the things that we enjoy and always remember the important meaning of this season. In your name we pray, amen.
Moving on to public address, do we have anybody to address the commission tonight? Don't see anybody tonight. Minutes of our last meeting, which I believe was in August, were attached to the email that Michael sent out. Floor will entertain a motion for approval when ready.
Make a motion. I second.
It's been motioned and seconded for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved as recorded. Thank you, Bonnie. Administrative reports. County Administrator, Ms. Hill.
I do appreciate all that you guys are doing. I know it's hard all throughout the year, but during the holiday season when there's so many more things going on, I know that makes it more difficult at that time as well. And if there's anything that you guys need from us, please let us know. We want to continue to be here to help you do the things that y'all do. I have some more things to say later on in the meeting about budget and that kind of thing, but I'll hold off of that. And I did want to tell you that Supervisor Kitts is on vacation. That's why I couldn't be here this evening. So he sends his regards as well.
Thank you. NRV 911, Jason.
The only thing I haven't mentioned, Steve, is related to the radio system project. And I appreciate those of you that were able to attend the oral presentations by the vendors. I think that was very helpful for everybody to get an understanding of exactly what we're trying to look at here and what the vendors have in mind that'll work for Montgomery County. We hope to have a final scoring done and a decision very soon. We told the vendors hopefully before the end of the year. So we hope to move that project along here very quickly.
Okay. Sir. Okay, moving on to old business. County Special Operations Team. Tyler, do you want to lead on that?
Yeah. So we wanted to bring this back. We talked about it at the last commission meeting about starting a countywide special operations team. So the group that we've had together, that's been a bunch of the people from all the different volunteer agencies across the county that are currently heavily involved in kind of the swiftwater and dive stuff that we do now. We've met a few times and we wanted to bring something before the commission to see if y'all are good with us moving forward or what y'all would like us to do. So what we discussed was the team would be for any department in the county to be a member of, any member in the county that meeting the requirements could be a member of. The currently starting out, we would stick with swiftwater and dive and get into rope rescue. And over the next year or so, we'll really work on those skills and make sure we're really good in those things before we start trying to grow into other disciplines of technical rescue. So it would be a phased approach. We don't want to start really big and go and try and get in all these things at once. We kind of want to start small and build from there. So we're proposing initially a 24-member team which would likely be made up of the people that are actively involved in it currently. And then once we build a good foundation from there, we'll start growing and adding more members to the team. And the requirements to be a member of the team would be to be an active member in good standing with your department and have some type of awareness level training for whatever discipline or any discipline that the team may deal with. We did go around some of the different departments in the county and look at the equipment that we have currently. There's a mixture, so swiftwater and dive equipment, a lot of it needs inspections and testing done and all the normal stuff that has to be done on a regular basis. I think it just kind of fell that we're talking about this at a time where everything is coming up, like the scuba tanks need to be hydroed, the VCs need to be inspected. There's some additional dive equipment that we'd like to see. There's a couple of people going through their dive stuff currently that we would probably need to purchase some additional sets of dive gear. As far as rope equipment, there's a lot of different things throughout the county. Some of it's old, some of it's new, some of it's 11 millimeter, some of it's 1/2 inch. And so in order for it to all be compatible, it's all got to be the same size. We can't run 11 millimeter rope with 1/2 inch hardware. So we'd like to kind of see a standardized equipment list or something along those lines. So we kind of want to purchase a set of rope equipment that we could use and put it on a vehicle that would respond to all the calls that we're going to respond to. And then training is another big thing that we've gone back and forth about. There's a lot of state hosted classes that are available, but more often than not, they're far away from here or they're very competitive to get into. So what we had discussed in our last meeting was seeing if we could budget some money to try and have a technical rescue class here and try and host a technical rescue class here each year. And that would make sure that we can continually get training and we're not having to rely on the state schedule and we're not trying to compete with the rest of the state to try and get classes. And then the only other thing I have is kind of like a timeline of what we're looking at. So if we were approved to move forward, we would start working on everything, trying to figure out who's going to be on the team initially. So 2025, early 2025 would be trying to identify who's going to be on the team, develop our protocols and our guidelines for how we're going to do everything. In the spring, we could start training together with what we have currently. And in the summer, if we were approved some funding to purchase some of the things that we'd like to have to get this going, we'd start purchasing that equipment and continue to train and start responding to calls. And if we were funded some money to host a class, we would work with a vendor or with the Department of Fire Programs or BAVRS or whoever it may be to try and schedule a class to have here. And then beyond that, it would be over the years trying to build new disciplines in to the team, have more trainings so we can have the certified people and the equipment to be able to respond to other incidents. But other than that, we're kind of just looking for approval to move forward, I think. I don't know if any of y'all have anything to add.
What's your idea on looking at a budget, funding for budgets
I have a number, I just don't know if this is the meeting that y'all wanna do it in, or if you wanna do it when you all talk about commission budget.
My thought was just the procedure to get to that point. I know when the training center came on, we added them to our budgeting process. Could we do special ops the same way?
Yes, we can do that.
That was what we felt was probably the best, was it the funding portion to be like the training center currently is.
Questions or comments for?
Yeah, kind of question, what kind of budget round numbers do you have? I mean, we're sitting here talking about, we're working on budgets, it's budget season, but we've gotta have an idea of
So-
what you think this is gonna take to get it going, and then we have to talk to Ms. Hill about that.
What we discussed in our last meeting was to get all of our current dive equipment inspected, tested, and everything. Between all the different agencies, we're guessing that's about $5,000. To buy a full rope setup to put on either the trailer or wherever it may go would be about $15,000 once you purchase all the different lengths of rope and all the hardware. And that's also a new litter to go with the system, and a tripod and harnesses for everybody. The additional dive gear, so upgrading what we have is some new BCs and suits and regs and all that stuff, and also a comms kit, which is what we're estimating around 25,000 based off of what's recently been purchased for all of it. And the big ticket thing is training. I've asked a vendor what it would cost to come and teach a class here, a technician level class. And it's $35,000 to have a vendor come in and do it. It's a little less, I think, if you get higher programs to come do it, but it's not by much. So in total, that's about 80,000.
Like, do you thought about an ongoing budget? Like this is initial to get it up and going. Do you have any idea about?
We did discuss kind of an ongoing budget, but in their discussion, we'd have to get up and running to kind of
Get an idea.
get an idea. Yes, it's gonna be more upfront, you know, for the initial, but not knowing what training classes may cost us in the future. It's kind of but you know, you're gonna have a maintenance, even out of that budget, every year, we're gonna have to maintenance BCs and bottles and all that good stuff, so, you know, I'm figuring like probably 30. You know, on average, once we get up and running, it should be minimal.
Right.
You know, other than replacing some equipment here and there.
As far as the boats and equipment like that goes, is each department still gonna maintain their own boats, or is this gonna come back to the heavy tactical team?
I'd say each department maintain their own.
Probably just,
Everybody maintain their own boats, like.
I mean, something major, if the department can afford it all, then maybe we'll come back to
Come
the,
back, like we do that normally anyway.
either come back to the commission or see what we got in the special ops budget and maybe work, you know what I'm saying?
One of the good ideas that we heard from Bedford County is what they do every year is similar to this, is they have a set budget, and each year they pick a different discipline, and whatever the discipline is, they'll replace or refurbish all of the equipment that year, and then each year they'll pick a different discipline and just do that same thing so their equipment's always in date.
Well, I know part of your request there, I mean, it's like the scuba equipment recertification, that, I mean, as far as Long Shop's concerned, we kind of have that built into our training and equipment budget already, so some of that's already in the budget, so
Our main thing is the new, like,
it's the new stuff.
the new stuff that, yeah, cause way we was looking at, especially on like the dive gear, is to have a couple sets, you know, spare sets ready to roll. also.
Also, there should be some grant opportunities, I would think, maybe the comm year.
Yeah, that's something we can look at. The main grant I'm thinking of that we could apply for is Homeland Security Grant. They cover a lot of what they'll call urban search and rescue equipment, but dive gear does fall under that. So it's something we can look at. It's just a very competitive grant. We were fortunate to get awarded a Homeland Security Grant on the competitive side this year, so we could try that again.
Is that the LEMPG grant?
No,
Or is that
that's a different one.
What do we do? Do y'all apply for the LEMPG grant every year?
Yeah.
The LEMPG
7,500.
grant pays part of salary.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm okay as far as I'm concerned. I'm okay for the group to move forward with working on this. I think we should submit a budget. Maybe come up with a figure that we wanna submit as a request in the upcoming budget. And
We can work on a actual.
yeah, I mean, I'd like us, when we're working on that personally, I'd like, to be sure that we're covering the cost of the initial cost to get up and going, but have that cost built in for the training and the maintenance of the equipment ongoing. Be sort of like what we're budgeting for each department now, but it would be a different line on, I don't know the figure, but I could throw one out. I think you should ask for 100,000 as a budget. Initial cost to get the new equipment and everything, you're looking to get the new equipment and get the other equipment recertified and up to date, you're looking at 60,000 there just for that part of it. That might not be, 100,000 may be too much for an ongoing budget. We could do a one-time funding deal to get us up and going, and then look at next year, we could possibly look at an ongoing budget, and it might be 60,000, it might be 50,000. But I think for budget seasons, I think we need to come up with a figure.
I know at our last meeting, I think we all pretty much agreed to proceed with the special ops. Is this something that we need to go? I mean, we approved it here last meeting, not formally by a motion and vote, which we can do tonight. But once the commission approves it, then we need to go before the board to ask for $100,000 funding for special ops.
I think it could be submitted with the,
Budget request.
with the budget request for the whole group. And we can talk about that some more when we get to the new business item, because I anticipate that there's gonna be a request from this group, and I think the board does too, so it can be included in that.
My other observation, agree with everything. In the grand scheme, we may have money in our current budget year. And if you're looking at buying stuff next summer and we're looking at $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, we'll know in April or May what's left in our budget. And we can just evaluate it too.
To buy some one-time things.
Just one time.
Yeah.
One-time money.
Right. Or at least get them ordered.
Does anybody have any concerns about it? And that was one of the things that we talked about last week, is in order for this to work, everybody's really got to support it. Like it can't be that we have one or two departments that are kind of iffy about it, and if that's the case, it'll just fall flat on its face. Like it's gotta be a countywide thing and everybody's gotta be in support of it, or it just won't work.
I mean, I'll just throw, I'm in support of it. I think the only kind of lingering concern from my group is that there's a lot of this stuff that we do also, and so we want to make sure that it's working together. And I mean, ultimately, a regional approach for this stuff totally makes sense. But I think there's just, as we go into it, we want to make sure that it's not replacing what's already being done, but building it up.
That's your goal, right, is to to build up what's already. Not your goal, right, Michael, to replace it all. It is to
Yeah.
just build it.
Yeah,
And make it
at the end of the
stronger.
day, we want to have a functional all hazards team for the county, and we're fortunate we have a lot of that. It's just kind of siloed right now, and the more we can do together, the more members we'll have respond, the better off we'll be, the safer we'll be.
I guess to make it a formal approval at a commission, the floor will entertain a motion for the special ops team to move forward.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Special ops team is approved. Any other old business? Okay. Getting on to new business. Michael, Volunteer Service Awards.
So these next two, the service awards and the incentives, I'll just speak to real quick. So service awards, we're gonna try and do those every year in October. I think it'll always fall on the first board meeting in October, which is right after Columbus Day.
/ Indigenous Peoples Day.
That's right. We officially here at the county call it Indigenous Peoples Day.
Okay.
But it's commonly known as Columbus Day.
So that's the goal. So every year, probably late August, early September, we'll reach out to everybody to start gathering that information. As far as the incentives go, we took y'all's feedback last year, and we want to push these out before the holidays. So you all should have received those checks already. They got mailed on December 4th, so if you haven't, they should be in the mail. Each year, we're going to try and get those out by probably the beginning of December. So right around that time, we'll be asking for all the active rosters so that we can put those together.
We do know it's important that you're able to get that out to your people before Christmas. So if people didn't get theirs, let us know and we'll see if we can help you track that down and get another check and void the first one or something.
Budget request.
I know that Supervisor Kitts has been telling you guys all year long, if you need things, ask for them. We need to know what they are. And I know sometimes things come up as we've gotten into some paid fire and rescue about equipment and those kinds of things. And if we want to supply you what you need. And if there are things that you need and what you don't have money for them, gear, whatever it is, I can't even imagine what the things might be. So you guys know what they are. Please just feel free to bring them to the group. I know that's a little bit different tone than you might have gotten before, but Chris and I completely support that. The board supports that. So please bring those to us. We know that in your existing base budget, there's not any unallocated ongoing funding for this, for the fire and rescue agency. So if you need some more, we're gonna bring that forward to the board when I submit my budget request to them, and it's gonna be March 10th this year, I think.
I think budget requests are due tomorrow from.
Right.
So,
Tyler, you got that?
Do you guys have any questions about what you're working on to get turned in or anything?
the only question or maybe a comment I would make on that is the P word, the pharmacy that we've been working on, most of us here, the ongoing cost for that is kind of hard to nail down, or it is on my part, so it's kind of a moving target, so that may be a kind of a little bit of I won't say a guess, we'll say an educated guesswork.
Right.
Any other comments on the budget? Okay, WVEMS board updates, Chief Inch.
So we had a board meeting, today. And just for those who don't know, I'm your rep on that board, so that's why I'm talking about it. So, there's a bunch of stuff. It was a long meeting. I'm gonna try and go through it really fast and just kind of hit the highlights. And if anybody wants more in-depth info about any of this stuff, just get with me after or let me know and I can get you. But kind of the biggest thing was the ongoing issues between the Office of EMS and the problems that they were experiencing over this past year and the big Fitch and Associates report that came out. And long story short, WVEMS and a lot of the other regional councils had some concerns about that report. It was pretty negative towards them and they felt that it was not accurately portraying what happened. And so the EMS Council did a FOIA request and got like 3 years worth of documentation and data and financials, and they showed what they felt were large discrepancies and misleading information in that report. They presented that to the Governor's Advisory Board, I believe it was last week, and the board unanimously agreed and basically they issued a resolution to disqualify and discredit that report as it did not accurately reflect the facts and made it appear more negative than it was towards the EMS Council. So there, I've got like probably a 15-page document if anybody actually cares and wants to see it, but that's kind of the highlights of that. Other stuff, the EMS protocols for next year are just about done. They should roll out early in first quarter of 2025. They're trying to get it to where a new set are going to come out every year, pretty close to the beginning of the year. So this one will probably be February or March, but beyond that, they're going to try and kind of get it right to the beginning of each year. Medication kit updates. I know everybody's well familiar with that and has been working on that stuff. Kind of the only new thing that came out that they wanted to let agencies know is when the Office of EMS let everybody know that there was a little bit of a delay in the enforcement of some of that to April 15th. That doesn't necessarily mean that every agency should wait or can wait until that date. They recommend that once you get your CSR and your DEA paperwork back, to try to get a plan in place to transition within about a month over to stocking your own stuff. So that was new. That was the first I had heard that. So just take that as it is. The hospital systems are starting to get a little low on normal saline and a little bit with D10. We knew about this issue for a long time since the big storm, but this is more current, like as of the last day or two. A lot of the local hospital systems have started to report some kind of peaks in shortage of that. So just we really haven't had much issue with it other than maybe ordering it, but now the hospitals are starting to see some problems with it. So probably in the next couple of days, they're going to try to push out some guidance on trying to be a little more conservative with fluids if you can. They also said they are more than happy to come out and teach MCI 1 and 2 classes for free, either as a group or for your agency. So you could just reach out to them and they'll come do that. The new triage tag, so about a year ago, OEMS regs changed what the triage tags were allowed to be. And with that, they stopped selling them. And so the manufacturer that they got them through in the past has finally updated their templates to match the new requirements. And so you can buy them through them now. There was another option as well, so you may already have that taken care of. But for anybody that needs it, I do have copies of the order forms and what they look like for that. There should be a new advanced CMT class offered fall 2025. The last couple they've tried haven't made because they didn't have enough applications, but they're going to try again next fall and see what happens. And the paramedic class that they're hosting here locally, they're still taking applications, I think for another week. So far, they've got 15 applications in, so that class should happen, and it'll start here in a couple months. The RSAF grant, so that's the grant that comes around usually twice a year for the rescue squads. The funding has kind of crept back up, and now it's actually back to being above what it was pre-financial crisis, I guess, if you will. So there is more money going into that grant now, and so they're recommending that as that comes out, people do consider putting in for stuff with that. And there is a special grant that's open right now, that's open for another month, that is specifically for your call report writing software, because the state is no longer going to be providing that after, July 1st of next year. So the agencies are going to be responsible for that cost. So if you haven't already, that's probably something to try to factor into your budget request, because that's another thing. It's pretty expensive. Like for us, we got a quote back from ESO that's just over $10,000 a year. It's going to be less for smaller agencies, but it's still pricey. So just kind of plan accordingly. And the grant is more of like a startup grant. It's not intended to cover the long-term ongoing costs of your EPCR software, but more to kind of get you transitioned over. So they do recommend that it probably doesn't hurt to try for it. They changed the percentages of what that grant normally would cover. So the regular coverage now is a 50-50. So you'd be responsible to cover half of whatever that grant amount was for, or the hardship level is 70-30. So that's a little bit different than what the normal RSAF grant is. But again, that's kind of more to get you up and running and transitioned over to either a new platform or get you set up on your own account with the new one. And the deadline to apply for that is January 3rd, so it's not open very long. I think that's all I have.
Can I ask a question, and this could be answered afterwards, but is there a reason why every agency has to have their own software versus are there advantages? Like if we're all doing the same thing, are there just not accounts? Like everybody has their own account, but we
Don't know if
the
you
county
can
or somebody has
do it jointly.
just seems redundant when everybody's
Yeah, it'd be worth looking into.
paying a company over and over and over again.
Yeah. I know not everyone uses the same system, so that could be a factor, but for those who are, there may be a way to do that.
You know, I know it's kind of agency specific in your apparatus and your personnel,
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but I don't know if there's a way to like
some way to
Here.
umbrella
or
over that.
do it as a joint like contract, even if it's separate accounts, maybe you can pull it under one.
I think there's a way to do it as an umbrella, and each agency still has their own, because so Reiner Fire and Elliston Fire have ESO, and it's kind of under the county's umbrella account, but each one of them's different. So like Elliston is under ours, and I see their data. Reiner's isn't, and the only disadvantage to that is when you're pulling reports, it gets your data screwed up a little bit, but
Worth looking into.
Yeah, cause we pay out of our budget each year for our ESO, and so does Elliston.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done, what, the past 2 years, I think, when we first started the ESO. So I think we were the newest ones to get the ESO, so we budget that out of our pay for it. That's pretty pricey.
Yeah, that's
Tyler, did y'all get a price break when you added Allison and Reiner on to
I
ESO?
think when you, so it is a little bit cheaper if you have, because instead of Reiner having however many calls and then Elliston having their however many calls in another account, then they just lump it all together, and it makes it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, we use ESO and have for probably 4 or 5 years now, but I think we're paying about $9,200 a year for it. Roughly.
That's what we have, but I'm not sure how much.
And I hadn't looked at the EMS module on it before, if y'all looked at that.
That's what we use.
That's what you're using, that's what you're using for your EMS.
Well, up until now, it's been what the state's
Yeah,
given
that's what
us.
the state-
So,
Any other questions or comments for Chief English? NRV 911 Joint Advisory Committee meeting. Sure it was-
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Back in the conception of the NRV 911 Authority, this group had a joint advisory committee and we met separate from the board and everybody else that's involved in the 911 Authority, and sort of the purpose in the beginning of those meetings was to get everyone on page, with unit numbers and radio numbers and operation, how everyone operated within the county and the two towns. Myself and I think Chief English, you were on board with that, and I think at that time Joe Coyle was on board and who was from Blacksburg Fire was on the thing. But anyway, we had representatives from this group that represented fire and EMS, and if we had concerns or questions about the operations of the authority, this group would bring them up in this meeting, and then we would take it back to the Joint Advisory Committee for discussions and try to resolve any issues that we had. And we haven't had those meetings for a long, long time. I don't know if we've had maybe one since Jason's come on board as the director, but we see a need to start those meetings back up again, especially with the new radio system coming in, and other operational issues that I think we all see day in and day out, where there's some kind of a problem with dispatching or something like that. And I think it's easier for us to voice our committee as the Joint Advisory Committee than it is for every department head to come running to Jason with a complaint. So we would like to start those meetings back up again, and Jason's willing to do that. And I think it's sort of push from the board, wasn't it, a little bit?
Yeah. The authority board is definitely on board with starting the meetings back up. And we're looking at trying to have one in January. A lot of our previous members have retired, so we're having to circle back around and appoint new members. The authority board is in charge of appointing the members of the Joint Advisory Committee.
Right.
This is how that works.
Yeah. And before, we had the representatives from the two towns, fire and EMS representatives from the two towns, and I can't remember who else on that, but didn't we? I think maybe we had a fire and an EMS representative from within the county on that committee also, and now that we have McPhillips on board now, I think they should be a part of that mix too. But looking at this group to see who you would like to sit on it, definitely representing the town of Christiansburg. We'll have myself and Josh on it representing the town of Christiansburg, but we need some more action from Dave, definitely for sure. And I don't know who you guys would want to sit on it from fire, but then we need, probably one more representative from fire and EMS within the county. We don't want to have 100 people on a committee because 100 people can't get anything done, but we try to keep the committee as small as we can and take any concerns. Some of my biggest concerns is, and I've voiced them, to Jason and before, my biggest concern is the time it takes from the time they pick up the phone and say NRV 911. What's your emergency till the time the button is pushed to get us out on dispatch? Sometimes that lags on, sometimes EMD creates that issue on the EMS side, but sometimes there's a huge lag between the time they receive a call and the time it gets dispatched out. And some of those that we've looked at, have been up for 6 minutes before they ever push the button. 6 minutes before they push the button, and it's 6 minutes before we get a truck on the road, it's 12 minutes. But we understand, the we understand the difficulty it is to keep dispatchers in dispatch. I don't know how many you're short right now, but I know you're on the radio at midnight and, you know, or Deborah on the radio yesterday a little bit, and I know they're short. I know dispatch is short, same as fire and EMS is short nationwide. You just can't find people to do this job anymore. But we just like to, give us an idea, who we like to represent the group here. If you just want the two towns to represent the group, and we come in here and we meet and we get the stuff and we take it back, we can do that. If you want another fire and EMS person from within the county to sit on that group, Jason's needing who we want on that group, and then the board will appoint that group once we submit the names.
And you might have said this in the beginning too, that there will be a law enforcement person from each.
Be a law enforcement from each law enforcement agency too, so we've got, we got the 4 disciplines there. Right, yeah, 4 disciplines there, and we'd have someone from the 2 town law enforcement agencies in Virginia Tech and Montgomery County.
And the board, for those of you who might not know, the 911 authority board is made up of the town managers and myself, and then a representative from Virginia Tech and an at-large member. And we do support that, having a joint advisory committee. I think that from the county's perspective, we would like to have Michael be appointed. And then if you want to have somebody else, we want to hear what you have to say about it, and hear what you think the best structure of that would be from your all's perspective, like Billy said.
Any comments from the group?
So are you asking for Michael for all of us or just for the y'all side of it?
Whichever way you think it should be. Really,
I mean,
honestly,
we're just-
I think it's good for Michael to be on the joint advisory.
Yeah, I'm not
committee,
saying
but
that it's not, I was just, do we
It-
still need to?
what do you think? Do you guys think that
No,
he can
either.
represent the group, or do you wanna have somebody?
One thing I'll throw out, it's not, cause when I first got voluntold for it, I was like, oh, great. You don't have to be very tech savvy, it's really more operational. It's like how we function and how we're getting notified of stuff. You don't necessarily know how to have to program a portable radio to do it,
It's just,
so.
it's just all operational stuff. What issues what problems are we having, when they push the button to get us out on the road? Is there any problems there at all?
Because
Do you
you're
have
the
any?
customers, you're the customers of the 911 authority, so their job is to serve the customer, so what do you guys need them to do?
I'd like to see Virginia Tech have both a police seat and an EMS seat on the committee. I think we do a lot of special events, and we have a slightly different operations than the rest of the county.
See that.
So if I could be a little so bold to say, we would like Michael on because he's gonna represent the career staff. That's first. He will also represent county agencies, as long as you're okay with that.
But if you want to have
And it doesn't
county
mean you're
agencies-
not okay with it. If you wanna represent
Right,
yourself, by all means,
That was
go
my
ahead.
I was just wasn't for sure if he was.
Yep.
We wanted to leave that open
That's up to
for
you.
you.
And if you don't, and you're okay with it, Michael will do it.
He was
He'll be voluntold to do it. And, but
Mike
You're welcome.
says, thanks a lot, guys.
I guess to give you a little bit of historical, at one point in time, there were 3 fire and rescue representatives total on it. And that was Billy, David, and then John Akers. And they were the 3 fire and rescue representatives on the board. And then Virginia Tech put their director of emergency management on it to represent the rescue agents. And that's just historically several years ago, how the board was set up.
I don't wanna speak for everybody, but Michael's getting paid. But the other thing is, as long as it came from all of us here and him representing us, I'm good with it. But, is the meeting's gonna be like after a commission meeting to where we can have a discussion about issue, you know what I'm saying? That's my only thing by not having like one of y'all. I mean, is to make sure that us as departments are getting our voice heard.
How were the meetings structured in the past?
Same, format as what we do here. What we did is the Fire and Rescue Commission is if we had in the beginning when we were, especially our radio numbers was a big thing, when we started out. And we, most people we renumbered everything and everybody renumbered, station 9, station 8, all this stuff, That was a big thing, but we talked about that in this meeting. And then we took it back to the Joint Advisory Committee meeting. And, like if you guys were having an issue in Long Shop, we took that back to them. It's not me just representing it, even though I'm representing the town, we're representing the group when we take this stuff back. We discuss it here. That's why I think we were successful by keeping the committee smaller then.
Yeah.
But talk about things here at this level and get everyone's concerns here and take it to that committee and it made the work group a little smoother to do that. But we're all here, just because I work for the town of Christiansburg, just because Michael works for Montgomery County, we're all here to take the concerns back to the Joint Advisory Committee and to the authority, to come up with a fix for whatever issue that we're having at the time.
I guess that's why it could be smaller, because this group is who would express the concerns, and then you
Right.
just have some representatives
Right.
to meet with the law
And
enforcement.
that worked fairly well.
I mean, I guess just who would be our liaison? Would we just call you, Billy, if we have?
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all could call me or Mike or whoever,
So I mean,
I'm
I
okay
guess
with
we could do
y'all.
that. If you guys wanna keep it small.
Yeah,
So we can
it
get
works,
things
it
done.
worked better as a smaller working group, of course, if we just do, like Jason said, there was John Akers from Charlottesville Rescue Squad, Dave and myself, on the committee representing this whole group here, but then we had four law enforcement agencies too, and a rep from, Emergency Services and Tech. I think Mike Mulhare was on board then, he would probably be, Andrew now, but it worked well like that. Just talk to whoever's on the Joint Advisory Committee, then we bring it all back in. Then we come to this committee and we discuss what we talked about and the issues we had.
Y'all are good.
I agree with Michael. He wears a couple hats anyway, at least a couple, so, as McPhem's and the Emergency Services Coordinator, so, we can send our concerns through him, and, if you have an immediate concern, I don't see that we'd have to wait for this meeting, we could pass it on to him, so we'd, in case we get out of sequence.
I'm gonna call this a catch-up thing, because we haven't had a meeting for a long time. And we've had a lot of operational changes, and as time goes on, once they sign, award a contract, for the new radio system, there'll be a need for more meetings to happen as that system is being built out over a period of 3 or 4 years, however long that's gonna take, but, I know I've got concerns about some stuff in dispatch, and I'm sure everybody here has had an issue with dispatch along the way, but we can use this advisory committee as a voice for the group to go back and express our concerns and try to get things fixed.
One more thing with that. With that being said, about the concerns that we have now with dispatching, that is something that I believe that needs to be fixed sooner than later and not be put on the table. Because it's getting to the point to where who's gonna have to die before it's important. 6 to 12 minute delay time is, you're playing with somebody's life.
And I'm an advocate for EMD, but EMD takes time. But how can we continue to use EMD, get the button pushed, and I'll give you a prime example. We had a call at one of the Rocket Main Street events downtown, and we called dispatch on the radio that we need EMS unit. It was several minutes before they were dispatched one out. We're looking at dispatch. You know, we had a police officer call for an EMS unit, and it took it a while to get it out. How can we receive the phone call? My husband's having a heart attack. I'm at 755 Roanoke Street. They're gonna start EMD in the call. How can we push that button to get that unit en route to 755 Roanoke Street without having to wait 2 or 3 minutes to get through the EMD? My house is on fire. Well, what's burning in your house? And whatever, they go down that checklist, they're asking a bunch of questions. My house is on fire at 110 Depot Street. Call taker's taking a call. Somebody needs to be pushing the button over here and dispatching the fire department. The fire department checks on, we can update them with the information we got from the call. There's not a delay in getting that call out. That's, how do you fix it? I don't know. I'm not in dispatch. I'm not trying to tell Jason how to do it or anything else, but how can we make it quicker and smoother? I know I've been in several different localities and seen their operations and how quick it goes out. And give and take. You know, some of these agencies are career agencies and they got people in-house. But even still, we're not not all of us are a career agency. And if it takes our volunteers 3 to 5 to 7 minutes to get to the station to get a truck on the road, and it's taking 3 to 6 minutes to get to dispatch, you know, room content fire, we're behind the 8 ball.
I think
how can
as
we-
volunteers, we do pretty good as far as.
We absolutely
getting
do,
trucks
but we
out.
gotta get the
But
call.
we need, yeah.
We need
We
the
can
call
just
to
get
come
that
out.
information, address and what we got.
My house is
We
on
can save
fire,
somebody's
my
life.
house is on fire, I need the fire department here. How quick can we get that button pushed to get that truck en route? Now the truck's en route, dispatch can come back and say, okay, they've got a room and content fire, they've got an oven fire, whatever the type of fire it is. Husband's having a heart attack, we started CPR, they've done the EMD, they're doing CPR, gonna update the EMS unit on the way to the call. How can we fix it to make it quicker to get that truck on the road faster?
Is there a way to do that?
I am certainly, I want to get rid of the calls as quick as I can too, because as long as I'm holding them, I'm responsible for them. So we get them out the door as fast as possible, that's our goal. With EMD was legislated upon us by the state of Virginia a couple of years ago. So as of July 1st, 2024, all dispatch agencies have to do EMD and have to provide EMD services. The other person that's going to have to be involved in the conversation is our OMD, because we are technically an EMS agency providing medical protocols through our OMD. So he is also going to have to be very deeply involved in any changes that we make as we talk about this.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is fire calls do not get EMD'd. So your structure fires, your motor vehicle crashes with injuries, with entrapment, they go out instantly. There's no EMD that happens to them before the call goes
Sometimes.
out. There's
I
not
drove
before the call.
sometimes.
Our policy is that they go out right away without EMD. If EMD happens, it happens after the dispatch for motor vehicle crash with injury.
Yeah,
But
I've
you know, and there
personally,
are times, and we can nitpick it to death, but there are times, you know, where I was on call one night, and I don't ever listen to radio unless I'm on call, I really don't. Don't wanna hear it, night off. But I was on call and I monitor when I'm on call, and they give a call to PD, and I can't remember if it was a motor vehicle crash or if it was a fire. But I left my house on West Main Street, or off of West Main Street, and got to Christiansburg High School, not running emergency. No lights, no siren, nothing. Going through all the red lights. I got to Christiansburg High School before they ever dispatched us out. The way I knew we had a call was I heard them give it to PD. And I got in the truck and headed that way. So I think that happens. I think it doesn't happen a lot, but I think it does happen. But you know, I want us to work with the authority, you know, to come up with that. EMD is mandated, but I don't know what the EMD protocol is because I've never looked at it, but can we push that button and get that truck moving while we're EMD in the call? And I think that's things like that, I think that's what we need to look at.
I remember correctly, like correct me if I'm wrong, when we started all this, that was one of the key parts that we had concerns with in the initial part was there gonna be a delay, and I'm wrong, please correct me, but that there would not be a delay in getting the call dispatched to EMD.
It takes a
The other-
while.
I think The other
It takes
part
a while to go through that EMD
Yeah.
checklist.
And the other part of EMD, the highest acuity calls go out the fastest. So if it's a cardiac arrest or somebody is not breathing, as soon as we enter that, it goes out instantly. There is no delay, there are no more questions. Once that person is in cardiac arrest or not breathing, it's gone, all gone. Now, if you have something like somebody's having toenail pain and it's an alpha level, yes, there may be a lot of follow-up questions because the protocol knows that this is not an emergency, and we can ask some more detailed questions so that the rescue squad knows they don't have to run lights and siren going to this call. And part of the narrowing down those protocols and the terminate code and the response level is making sure we're not putting citizens in danger running the emergency to things that we don't need to be running an emergency to. So, I mean, yes, I am more than willing to look at it. There just needs to be more people involved in the conversation to look at how we can get some of the higher priority calls out quicker. The other thing I will say is, like, if you have a call that you think didn't go well or was too much of a delay, I don't want you to wait till every quarter or every 6 months to let me know about that. Like, please let me know about it so I can do a service inquiry and look into it and try to figure out exactly what happened. Maybe there was a very difficult caller. Maybe there were safety concerns to where we had to send PD first to figure out what in the world was even going on at the house before we could send somebody else. So,
And I think too, that's an educational piece for us as a group.
you know, and maybe I can send you all, you know, I'll be more than happy to send you 911 recordings when there's weird ones like that, when we just have a, you know, terrible caller or a safety concern.
Yeah, and you know, when we start meeting, you know, maybe we need to be educated more about how EMD works and what types of calls get dispatched the quickest and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think that would help me, most definitely.
And the EMD software keeps timestamps, all this stuff, and it keeps statistics. So I can also bring that to the first meeting or send it out before the first meeting. You all can see all the statistics on each call type and each determinant code and how long it takes it from the time we answer the phone until the time the code goes out. So that may be beneficial for everybody to see as well.
What's the correct pathway for, like, if we have a call that we would like you to review, just email you?
Yeah, if you feel like it is a serious enough call where it really needs to be checked in to pretty quickly to see what's going on, yes, just email me about it and I'll direct it where it needs to go. And I definitely want to hear about those because, you know, we're humans. Not of the 130,000 calls for service we handle every single year, they're not all going to be right. Right. You know, there's going to be improvements that we could make on some of them. The phones ring a lot in there, and we push the button a lot.
If you know anybody needs a job, you need to send them Jason Way. He's tired of working midnights.
Yeah,
So,
I do think that the Joint Advisory Committee will help, and I think that educational piece will be good too. Do you guys think that Blacksburg's gonna want a representative from, like, another paid person?
I would probably want to be there and I can represent just Blacksburg Rescue or Rescue and Fire, or I can just be a general rep for everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter, but like,
I guess we can talk to Mark Verneal about that and see who he's gonna appoint.
yeah, I mean, like Mark already talked to me about it, so
Okay,
I knew it was coming.
So to summarize, we're moving ahead on the committee. We got a pretty good handle on our membership there, because we need to get the board a list of names so they can appoint that. So Billy, can you and Michael work together to get that list together?
is that something you need to vote on, or can?
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to whisper. If we need a motion on that, so, I would assume that we probably do, so the floor will entertain a motion to establish a 911 Joint Advisory Committee meeting with Michael and Billy. co-chairing pretty much, so
I'll make a motion.
A second?
all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay. Any other new business needs to come before the commission tonight? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to discipline reports. Report for McPhillips.
I haven't had a chance to introduce Bradley. So this is a good time. Bradley's our new deputy chief of EMS. So he took over for Brandon. Bradley's done an outstanding job so far. He's been in the position for about 2 months officially now. About a month before that as interim, and he's continued on the mission of working to provide the best EMS service to the citizens. So we're excited that he's in his new position. He's been with us for a little over 2 years now. So welcome, Bradley.
Welcome on board, sir. Do you have any report for us tonight?
I wasn't prepared. What exactly am I supposed to report here?
You don't have anything to report.
Okay. I didn't know I was reporting.
No report works fine.
Yeah, no report.
Chief English.
The only thing I've got is spring EMT classes. Gonna get posted probably tomorrow morning on our website. We're gonna do 2 again. So we'll have the one that meets every week in person, and then the one that's more hybrid that meets on the weekends, like every month to do the skills. So those will both be going, and that'll get posted on our website and social media tomorrow.
Thank you, Chief. Chief.
Thank everyone for all their calls and prayers and stuff, the past week, passing of firefighter David Akers. I appreciate it, department appreciates, family appreciates. Christmas parade in Christiansburg Friday night, come on out. It's a silent parade if you come, no siren. But
That's a little
pretty good to pass.
That was
That's
opposite than Blacksburg's.
Yeah.
Blacksburg's was like that.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we've been silent for about 3 years now at Christmas.
That's a good idea.
And it works pretty good. Usually the motorcycles and the hot rods are louder than what we are, so. But, Friday night downtown will be closed off for a
What
while.
time's the line
I think 5:30, I believe,
up? Is that up on East Street?
East Main Street. That's all I got.
Creeksburg Rescue.
We had our inspection with the state, and Bradley was actually there too. One of the things that came up, it wasn't an issue, but we just noticed, was we have one general mutual aid agreement for the entire county, which is certainly appropriate. One of the things that we just identified is it's just old. So I think it would be beneficial to look at that and just update it. I mean, it might not need actual updates, just some new signatures and dates on it, but I think it was done before McFinn's was around. And by talking to PJ Fleener, who's familiar with what we do in the county, we can have one mutual aid agreement with all of the entities in this room and we just need to have the surrounding localities kind of on it too. So basically, we can all sign one for the county with the surrounding counties to make it easier. I think by the Code of Virginia states that each entity in here needs to have a agreement, whether it says we will provide mutual aid or we won't provide mutual aid with any surrounding locality. So even though we're, like in the town of Christiansburg, we're surrounded by Montgomery County, we would still need to have an agreement with, I think, Floyd, Giles, Pulaski, Radford, and Roanoke County. So to make it easier, it'd just be easier to have to do one, because the way we're dispatched anyway would handle it. So if that'd be something worth looking into, it probably just needs updates.
Yeah, and PJ talked if we all just sign the same agreement, we can just attach that with our inspection process. So it just kind of helps streamlines everything. So something we could look into.
Mike, I think too, if you go back and look and pull the old one out, it had a place for every agency on it to sign. And I believe you're right, Steve.
I think so.
That's what we did.
Yeah, there was like signatures with,
The signatures for every agency to sign on the mutual aid agreement, but I know it hasn't been done since you guys came to be, so just need to add that in there. It'll be easy to update, we just gotta add y'all.
Thank you.
only other thing is, Dave reminded me of this, is we're offering ride-alongs for people in EMT class. Just let them know that we have our sign-ups online through the Christiansburg.org website. Not my cell phone, please. They found. That's pretty much all I got.
Thank you, sir. Virginia Tech.
We finished up the football season for the year, so I want to give a big thank you to Reiner Rescue, Christiansburg Rescue, and as always Blacksburg for helping us out with that. That's all.
Chief?
Only thing I got is, I'll be having a EWOT class January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It will be a class 3. If you got anybody that needs a recert, they can more than welcome to come to that class. Or if you need a new one, come to it. Classroom part will be from 6 to 10 on that Thursday, Friday, and then we'll drive on Saturday. So the information should be posted hopefully by tomorrow, if not by Monday. So I want to be aware of this website. That's all I got.
The only thing I got is, we got a parade Saturday after Billy's parade on Friday through the middle of the small town around it. But that's pretty much all I got.
House fire. No report. Long shot.
No report.
For Long Shot Rescue, I just wanted to thank Angie and the Mike and company that helped us get our pharmacy up. It's up, but it's not going yet, but the construction's finished, the new camera system's in, the alarm system's in, the access control's there, so we're really close to being ready for the CSR inspection, and we do have a responsible party on board now that can handle the task, so appreciate you guys' help. And I also say we got 4 new members in the last month, or actually 5. Out of the 5, 2 of them are fire department, and of those 2, one's fire and rescue. So that's huge for us. We haven't had 5 new members in 5 years probably. So
Great.
and most of these guys are already certified, so they're out of the box ready to run. So that was a real shot in the arm for our careers. I don't think I missed anybody. So, Michael, it's your turn.
I think Angie's actually gonna start my
Well,
report.
I failed to mention something during my early report. The county has entered into an option agreement to purchase the FedEx building that's at 305, the former FedEx building. It's at 305 Roanoke Street. And the purpose for that is, I'll try to give you a brief summary, but the government center needs to be realigned with our offices. And while we love having Michael and his team in our building, they need to have their own space. They need to be together. They need to have a place to store their vehicles and not in the alley and responding to calls, when people are walking in the alley. It's safe, but it would be better if they had a different space, and we can then realign some departments within the county to serve the citizens better. Because right now, the way our offices are, if you come in to build a house, you have to go upstairs and downstairs and back upstairs and downstairs again. So we're trying to reorganize the building, and that's one of the first steps. So we've entered into the option agreement. We're doing the due diligence period to see if it'll be suitable for the, it's just for the administrative offices and for the EMS captains to be housed in. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that it didn't seem that we were not communicating that to you, because that's important for y'all to know what's going on with that. And if you have any questions about it, I'd be glad to answer them. Do you have anything to add about that, Michael?
We did meet with the operators of the pipeline this morning, down in Elliston to get an update on where they were at since the company's officially phased from construction to operations now. I thought it was a really productive meeting. We got to meet some of the folks that are here local that will respond in the event of emergencies. Really the only big thing that they kind of warned us about was there are 3 valve stations in the county. There are 2 in Elliston and there's 1 on Mount Tabor Road in Blacksburg. Not that there's any real hazard associated with them, but there's potential that they're, can't think of the name of it now. The relief valves could let off gas at some point in time. It's not really of concern, but if we get called out to correct that, not to mess with the valves because they're much more complex than a traditional valve, I guess, and they will actually have to come out themselves to fix that problem. It shouldn't be a problem for most departments in the county, but if you ever do run into it, that's something to be considerate of. But otherwise, it was a good meeting. They were really helpful, and I think that any time that we need their assistance, they're glad to come out. They just ask that we make them aware of any fires in the pipeline right away.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Call report summaries were attached. Will be attached to the minutes. Anything else needs to come before the commission tonight? Hearing none, the next meeting will be next year. Date will be
Board docs doesn't say.
January 16th.
January 16th, so see you guys next year. This meeting's adjourned.
That's what happens when I printed you the summary instead of the details.
I still think that.